Welcome to Hamim Loyal. This is Eric Grissom.
And I'm Dan Johnson. Eric and I will be rewatching the iconic Twin Peaks from the pilot through the return and everything in between.
If this is your first time watching, or if you're a longtime fan, you can watch along with us as we dive deep into the strange and wonderful world of Twin Peaks.
We live inside a dream.
Welcome to Meanwhile. We have reached the final countdown. The final episode of the original Twin Peaks series. I'm talking about episode 29, Dan. This is Beyond Life and Death. Some people in Germany may call it. I know you're going to call it season 2, episode 22. You have since the beginning. This is exciting. And it's exciting for us because this is, to be honest, a little behind the curtains action. This is the third or fourth time we're trying this. We were plagued with technical issues that I am attributing to the demon names that I said last week on the show. So it's possible our podcast is now haunted. And as you know, if you've seen The Ring, you are now haunted.
You're going to have to pass this episode along to 3 other friends, or they get haunted, and
Yes.
then they have to pass it on to another 3. Do you see how it works, folks? Save yourself.
Dan's got it right.
Save yourself.
Dan's got it right. This is the It Follows of podcasts.
It's The Ring.
Without the sex.
Oh.
Yeah. No, let's talk about this episode. It's a bittersweet because it means it's over.
Well,
right? We'll talk about this and then it's done, but we have so much wonderful
more
things ahead. At one point in time, in 1991, this is the end. So I guess if we're following along at home, we have to be depressed that the show is over.
little Eric Grissom sitting there on a Tuesday night in 1991.
Well, Monday night. Unless you're talking about the next day when I'm still reeling.
The next day crying, still in his room under his bed crying.
Just probably more
Sorry,
accurate.
Monday night watching this back-to-back episode. So we talked about the 21st, season 2, episode 21 last week. This is jumping right where we picked up from the last one.
Yeah, and it was very strange, like to put yourself in that position. This is Monday, June 10th. You would have watched both of these back to back. You see episode 28, you see episode 29. The way I remember it is you don't see the credits of 28 and then you get the intro to Twin Peaks and then it starts. It went from the end of last week, it's a map, to commercial break and then cut in with Andy and Lucy. And from the audio to the camera positions to the mood, there is such a sharp tonal shift, and you feel it. And obviously, you do see the credits underneath, and you're going to see directed by David Lynch and all those things. So it's you're in a David Lynch thing, but before it's going to tell you that this is something different, this is something special, and it was like, bam! It hit you right in the face, and you were like in a different world. It's such a sweet jump, and I absolutely love it. It was on, so if you were watching another channel at that time, right? So this is 9 o'clock, it starts, you get to 10 o'clock. If you were to switch over to we're on ABC, so CBS had Northern Exposure, a rerun, so it's not even a new episode. And then Ann Jillian's made-for-TV movie, Original Sin.
She didn't know she was married to the mob.
How could you have hidden all of this from me?
Now her son will fall victim to an underworld power struggle.
I promise you a war the likes of which you have never seen.
Is her father-in-law a hero or a killer?
I am not going to sit around here and wait for him to act.
Ann Jillian battles Charlton Heston for the life of her son. Original Sin, Monday.
Which I know Dan and I are both Ann Jillian
Big fans.
fans.
Ann Jillian. I can't tell you why. I just know as a kid, seeing that platinum bob just made me super happy. I loved Ann Jillian.
I'll tell you why you were a fan, because you liked It's a Living.
Life's not the French Riviera. Believe
I
me.
did actually like It's a Living. I was like,
You were probably a big fan, as I was, of many women together shows.
absolutely.
You've got It's a Living.
Alice.
Alice. The divorce one day at a time.
The divorce one.
But what was the one with designing women?
Designing women. Yep.
Yep. Golden
Sure.
Girls.
This is what an age for women in TV this was.
Well, the Equal Rights Amendment was trying to be passed through Congress. I can remember having an ERA yes sticker on my books because my mom was a single
what a feminist
mother.
from a young age.
And my teacher, who I hope is gone, Mrs. McCarthy, awful woman, she did not like it. She was hardcore conservative. And she told the class, she was like, oh, Eric's mom's going to try marriage again in the middle of class. Then when my parents were my mom was marrying my stepfather, trauma dump. When my mom was marrying my stepfather, she told the whole class that I was going to wear a dress and be the flower girl. And she said that somebody said, is Eric going to have a new last name? Like T, because he's an alien, because he's a weirdo. And like everybody's talking about this in the class. I'm in second grade. So traumatic.
Hell?
Oh, she was horrible. But yeah, it doesn't matter. We're not here to talk about Mrs. McCarthy.
Not anymore.
Who I can't stand this woman. I still think about her. She's gone though. She's got to be gone. She was probably in her 50s when I was in second grade. So unless she's like 108 years old now, she's dead. No, we're here to talk about Twin Peaks, Dan. God damn it.
Well, Eric, you were talking a little bit about how there was such a tonal shift between the last episode and bang, we're into a new one with David Lynch.
Oh, yeah.
I don't really know a whole lot. That's the end of my sentence. I just don't know a whole lot. No, I don't know a whole lot about the story of how David Lynch coming back to direct this and the writing. Because you're right, it does feel, of course, it feels of a piece and the story continues on, but it feels so different. So what do you know about the making of that you think is worth sharing?
Yeah, well, I thank you for bringing that up because I forgot to mention this is written by Harley Peyton, Bob Engles, and Mark Frost on paper. And directed by David Lynch. Now, David Lynch does a number of rewrites to it. The biggest of all is the entire Red Room, last 20 minutes, last half hour of the show is almost completely improvised, supposedly on set. We'll talk about that.
How that is the biggest part of this episode. Like how I haven't read the script.
Yeah. It's more that, right. And it's more than that too. Like there's things that happen. There's characters that, when they go, just as like an example, I believe in the script, Catherine Martell goes to the not post office box,
Bank.
the safe deposit box. There's Major Briggs has a different role. Like they go to Leo's cabin and or Earl's cabin for Leo, him and Hawk, I believe. But
wow.
I'm going to point out a couple of times where the script changes, but Dan and I are going to read the script and do an episode just on the script for Patreon people. So if you're not a Patreon person, apologies. You're going to get this episode. Next week, we're going to have off. And then we'll be back with Fire Walk With Me. For you Patreon folks, next week, we will do an episode all about the script. So we'll talk about what we thought of it, the changes. We'll just go through it like we're doing a regular episode. It's as if David Lynch didn't rewrite the episode. What would we have thought of the finale?
And Eric said that he's going to do all the voices of the characters. So really tune in. It's going to be great.
Right. I thought about it. I was like, should we do a reading of the script? And I was like, no, please. That would be
no one wants
be
that.
awful.
Well, actually, if you pay extra in the Patreon, we won't do it. But if you, yeah.
Okay. That's a threat. There's an excellent article in GQ about the finale and how crazy the finale is. I'll put the link to that in the show notes. But according to that article, when location liaison Barry Gremlin, and I don't know if this is an autocorrect or if this is a successful copy and paste, but Barry Gremlin, he was basically working on the show, so he's still working from the original finale script. And he asked David Lynch a logistical question, to which David Lynch replied, quote, "I wouldn't pay too much attention to that script if I were you." So when he got this script, he was none too happy with some of the things that happened in it or thought he could improve it. There's another article. I mentioned it, I think, when we did the pilot. It's worth reading. I'll put a link to that. The Guardian did like this oral history of Twin Peaks. And there's a quote from Sandy Sutherland, who was a producer on the show, and it goes on to produce other things with David Lynch. This is a quote from her from this article. Sutherland says, "That's the only time David ever really got mad at me on that second season. It was the last episode, which he directed, and he did not like the script that had been written. He came to me, and he was screaming at me. Did this script go out to everybody? Because my job," she says, "was distributing the script." And I said, yes, and he was so upset. So according to her, he rewrote it. He took out stuff that he didn't like. He made new scenes, which we'll talk about, to make it more like his and Mark's original vision of Twin Peaks. He was very, very upset with her, screaming at her. So he was very unhappy with the direction or some of the things that were in the script. And then he was like, okay, I know it's not your fault, and you thought you were doing the right thing. So he apologizes. It's, they have a very good relationship. But the point is, he's really not happy. And I think that's a general thing. He's talked many times about season 2. He was not happy with how the show went, some of the directions it went. We talked about, him and Harley Peyton having a bit of a falling out. So he's certainly taking it back to Lynchtown, which
was
we'll
part of
talk
his
about.
problem with season 2 is that he wanted more focus on James. Was that, and Little Nicky played a bigger role in his vision.
Oh, the whole thing was about Little Nicky.
It was all actually Little Nicky's dream. The whole thing was Little Nicky's dream. That's fascinating. That's cool.
Yeah. One last bit. It's from this article. It's not about the script, but I thought it was like a nice little thing. Dana Ashbrook, our pal Bobby, he said that when it finished and when they finished shooting this, him, Ankeen, Kyle, Michael Horse, and Harry Goes had a sweat lodge that they did out in Malibu near the beach. And that was saying goodbye to it all, our little ritual. I'm quoting Ashbrook here. Michael Horse ran it. He said prayers for the world and the earth and for humanity, and it was beautiful. And then Michael Horse said, that's what the community does when they want to leave something behind or they want to bond with each other. So yeah, I did it for that. I did that for the guys, which I think is super sweet. Yeah. All right. Before we jump into it, I have one more piece of information. Okay. And it is about guilt that I feel as a producer of and a co-host on this podcast, that I'm constantly talking about the behind the scenes thing, and David said this, and this is what this person like this or not like this, and on this podcast, I interviewed Scott Ryan. Scott Ryan tells a story about when David Lynch and Mark Frost decided they were going to do The Return. They screened 2 episodes. They screened the pilot, and they screened episode 29.
When they came down, David said, "Oh my God, it was horrible. I used so much music, I ruined it." And that's why there's no music in The Return. Because he thought episode 29 was horrible.
And I say that because after watching this again, after talking with Scott, I can hear it. And I can hear all the times that the music, and it does feel like maybe there's too much music in some of the scenes. And I know that's because now it's been colored by a creator saying something. And it's something in my own work, because I write graphic novels and things, that there's books that I've written that I hate, or that I look back on, I'm like, oh, that's awful. Why did I do that? Why, that ending is terrible. I wish I could do this other ending. And then you run into people that are fans of those books, and that's their favorite thing. So I try to be mindful of not saying things I like or I didn't like, and hearing that bit, I'm of two minds. Like, I like knowing a creator's intent and what they're going through and what they're thinking about. I love that stuff way more than I like listening to people, their interpretations of it. But it also does spoil a little bit of the magic and the mystery. Shines a light, I think, a little bit on the mystery, because once you hear that, once I heard David Lynch thought there was too much music in it, now when I'm watching it, I'm aware of that. And so I'm like, oh yeah, okay. Wow, there's music. And Scott Ryan in the interview also mentioned he went through and clocked how much music was in the episode, and it is like the most amount of music in any of the episodes. To his point, he's like, of course, the end of it, there's always music in the air. There's going to be music all throughout the Red Room, but you do hear it throughout it even builds in the beginning. The music is building when we're going to talk about it. So anyway, I just wanted to say apologies to people if you ever feel that I'm ruining any of the magic. That's the last thing that I want to do.
Eric, you've ruined the magic for me.
I'm not here to ruin magic. I'm here to
I don't have any problem with that, but I definitely understand where you're coming from. And that's so interesting to hear too, because yes, there is a lot of music in this, and I didn't know that quote about this or didn't have it in mind whenever I was watching the episode. But some of it to me, and we'll talk about when we get to those scenes, some of it to me just read as returning to the soap opera sort of feel that I definitely got much more in the first season. Not that it was a satire of, but that it was using that form for the storytelling. And I've said this term so many times, but a melodrama, literally the music is helping portray the emotions. And there were so many scenes through here that felt like soap opera melodrama, and it needs the music like that in order to really convey its take on the form and what it's trying to use that for, and to what effect. But anyway, we'll talk about that when we get there.
Yeah, let's get there. Let's jump into this wonderful episode. One of my favorites. Probably top 3 if we're going to be topping it.
Which we're not. We're not
going to
making
top
lists.
it.
No
We're
lists.
not topping it. Episode 14 is probably my favorite one, but then I think about the
what he's doing.
pilot.
He's making a list.
I know, this would probably be number
Oh my
3.
goodness.
But it is amazing, so
All
let's
right,
talk
cool.
about it, Dan.
I got idea, man. You take me for a walk.
And now, an ending. Where there was once one, there are now 2. Or were there always 2? What is a reflection? A chance to see 2? When there are chances for reflections, there can always be 2 or more. Only when we are everywhere will there be just one. It has been a pleasure speaking to you.
Well, right after the events of the previous episode, we shoot on over to the sheriff's department. Lucy and Andy have a tete-a-tete, while Cooper, Hawk, and Harry continue putting the puzzle pieces together with the help of Margaret and Pete. Eric, tell me about this scene.
Great opening scene. There's so much economy of storytelling in this episode. Like we move especially in the opening, scene to scene very quickly. And this little bit with Lucy and Andy touching foreheads, kind of looking away, creating this strange triangle so close up. It's visually, it's striking to open on that. But what they're saying is like recapping all of the events of Miss Twin Peaks, which originally, I'm sure, as scripted and maybe even in the production, these weren't supposed to be back to back. I've always got the sense that like ABC is like, just get this show freaking over. Like the ratings are bad. Put them on back to back on a Monday. We talked about all the different times, how it kept moving and moving and moving. So you don't necessarily need to catch people up on something they just literally saw. But I find that it's like, it's the brevity of like, oh, and then this happened, and then this happened, and I was so scared, Pookie, and all of this stuff. Great. The takeaway about them being in love is wonderful. And like we get that, like they both confess their love for each other, and I love it. It's a great little scene. And it's like, let's move right off them and go into the room. It's also interesting to think like the last time we saw Andy, he's like, it's a map. And you expect him to be sort of involved in the discussions, but no, he's like already off. It's like you did what you need to do. They're gonna puzzle over this map, which you wonder why did it take them so long to figure out this was a map. Like if I'm figuring out that it's 2 Twin Peaks, that they probably would have made that leap, but it doesn't matter. Cooper, giant, little man, fire, walk with me. Like already in the beginning, like we're tying back to Laura and how important Laura is. And remember the mystery. Like, we know Laura has been solved. Like, that who killed Laura Palmer, that mystery is sort of dissolved because we killed that golden goose. But there's still all this other wonderful things to tie to that we've forgotten about. So there's many times in this episode that Lynch is reaching back and touching those things. And I love that. Freaking Pete Martell coming in with Grand Theft Auto is so strange. And every time that Jack Nance delivers a line, it's always kind of off kilter and strange. This one is just so intense. He's so great. I love him. I love him talking about the log lady, his details about his 68 Dodge pickup truck, powder blue. Cooper saying the log lady will be here in 1 minute. And for fans of stopwatches, yes, it's 1 minute later that she arrives. And there's all these cool intuitive leaps of which Harry is now completely a part of. Ghostwood Forest, which is one of the greatest names for a forest. If you're going to have a list of the best names for forests, I would put Ghostwood probably at number 1. 12 rainbow trout. That makes Harry think of the 12 sycamore trees, like lots of these jumps. Hawk chimes in. This is not in the script. And Hawk is like, that's where I found the bloody towel in the pages of the diary. Now, Albert reported that Hawk said,
the towel that Deputy Hawk found 5 miles down the tracks was soaked in blood of that type. He also found, near the towel, scraps of faded paper.
And before that, Harry had said,
Hawk found this half-mile down the tracks from the crime site.
So these diary pages are moving episode to episode. Let him move. Let him move. It's great to have him there. But again, it's like, tie it back to Laura. Whose diary pages are those? It's Laura's diary pages. Like each one of these things is connecting back to that initial murder, Bob, all the cool things that we forgot about. We get the King Arthur stuff, which, not to spoil the script, is a bigger part of the script. But you get that here. You get, King Arthur's buried in England. I think that's like a Mark Frost thing. I imagine that he ties a lot of these mysteries to history. Mystery to history. That's the Mark Frost touch. 343, Log Lady comes in. God damn it. Watching Jack Nance yell at Catherine Coulson as Pete Martell yelling at the Log Lady. I'll be honest, always in my mind, I'm thinking about how they were married and the fact that now these two married people that are divorced are doing scenes together and like all of the undercurrent of real life stuff that's also in these scenes, I can't help but see. God damn it, the oil, Dan. Can we talk about the oil? About all of it. Let's talk about the oil. So apparently we're supposed to take away from this that Cooper has asked Margaret, bring the oil that you mentioned. We've had some oil conversation. She brings it. He says, thank you, Margaret. And he says, like, hey, what did your husband say about this oil?
He brought it back one night just before he died and said, this oil is an opening to a gateway.
So you can take that information and say, okay, her husband knows that it's about the ring of sycamore trees. He knows about the oil, that it's an opening to a gateway. He dies in a fire shortly after that. Was he in the Black Lodge, White Lodge waiting room? Is he one of those spirits now? Will we see him again in another form? How is he connected to this? He knew it was an opening to a gateway. So there's all this mystery about kind of her husband. So is he a woodsman of some kind? Who knows? It's stuff to think about. I love that detail. It's so cool. Lynch making the choice to bring Ronette in just to smell that. And we're triggered right back. Oh, this is the burning engine oil. Uncle Leland, Aunt Sarah, what's that smell? It smells like something's burning. The scorched engine oil, the Bob, the closing the loop and like taking us from the last episode to the first episode and bringing those together is just beautiful. Last thing I'll say is I love how Harry is ride or die with Cooper at this point. And it's beautiful to see.
Man, you hit everything there. So yeah, it's just going back again to Andy and Lucy. Like you said, just the way that it's framed, so close on the two of them. Their heads are touching, but they're looking in different directions, but talking to each other, and also, talking about what has happened. It's just a great way to start this. And I know the term is overused and it feels like BS, but like that is very Lynchian to me. It feels slightly off, slightly askew, but still grounded and real. That moment when Andy's concerned for her, talks about the baby. I know you're so scared, Pookie. I love you. It's a great moment for the two of them, but it just puts us into a completely different space than we've been in the past several episodes. But yeah, then we head right over into the conference room, and I love this too. That speaking more about the way that the shots are composed, it is a very static shot. We have a camera up in the corner of the conference room looking downwards at the characters, and it doesn't move for the most part. It starts off in this way, and everyone's very static in the scene. So you just have these scenes of people plotted in the room talking to each other. The lighting all looks like it's from within the shot, so it just feels very moody and dark, pockets of shadow and light. And it isn't until Pete comes in. All right, does Harry come in first?
Harry's already there, right? No, Harry comes in first. Harry comes in first and says, like, we got an
That's
APB
right.
looking for
And he
Earl,
comes in,
blah,
and
blah,
he's
blah.
standing right in front. It comes in front of Cooper, between him and the chalkboard, and they're really close together in the shot. It's just these little pairings of people, and there's no motion in the shot until people come in and bring this energy with them. You have Pete coming in that fantastic coat, which just looks so great.
Yes.
I haven't seen him wear that before. I wanted to wear it always. It looks so good. He's coming in with the Grand Theft Auto. Hawk just stays there in that one position the entire time. Cooper doesn't really move either. So it's just the way that it's framed and shot feels different as well. So everything has this feeling of, oh, this is a little bit different than we've been seeing for the past few episodes. Cooper there is looking at the petroglyph on the chalkboard, trying to put pieces together. And when he mutters, "Fire, walk with me,"
fire, walk with me. Fire, walk with me.
Twice there, it's just a chilling moment. It's fantastic. We are, like you said, bringing it back to the original mystery. And yes, we did solve the mystery. Who killed Laura Palmer? We know the person that did. But the greater mystery of who Bob is. Do people actually believe in him? Is it a real thing, or is it, maybe some people are just like, no, he was really just crazy. No, there's a whole separate level of the mystery that's still left out there, but we're coming back to it while remembering the whole thing that kicked this off, and remembering that Laura Palmer was so present throughout the show. We have remarked in these episodes in the middle of the second season, there's still the end credits on the photo of Laura Palmer, and she hasn't been mentioned in weeks and weeks and weeks. So it's fantastic to bring it back.
Right. Earlier, we got one mention to Laura Palmer in the Double R, where they're talking about, we need someone to win a good person to win the Miss Twin Peaks pageant. And then Annie's like, because of Laura Palmer, and she's like, yeah, or whatever. So that was it in so long.
So yeah, I just feel like we're getting back to the original mystery. Is fantastic. Ronette was great coming into this. Such a short couple of lines, but so effective. She's got that incredibly scared animal sort of feel, but she smells it. Like going back into, is it Hawk's arms that holds, or is it Harry that's standing there with her?
Probably Harry. Yeah, I can't remember.
It's probably Harry. I don't think Hawk moves the entire time. But being protected by him. As she says, yeah, that's exactly what that was, that smell. It's just fantastic. Okay, we can go from here. We'll head out into the woods, Eric. We're out of Glastonbury Grove. Earl gives Annie a peek behind the curtain.
Oh, yeah. God, I love that David Lynch loves putting flashlights under your faces as much as I do, because we get some of that here. Now, of course, remember with Leo when he's got Bobby in the woods and he puts a flashlight? I'm a sucker for that. I've been a sucker for that since I was a kid. It is a wonderful thing. I love seeing Earl put the flashlight under his face. Of course, the spotlight, it has an association with Bob and with the evil forces of the Black Lodge. Watching Earl build her fear as his way to pass into the lodge is wonderful. Annie recites a prayer. It's Psalm 141, 7-9. Now, in the script, it just says prayers, that Annie just says prayers. So I don't know if this was an intentional choice by Lynch to use this particular passage, if it was something the writers added and just not in the script, or Heather Graham added. I don't know. That would be something I would want to know.
But it's just so appropriate to the scene. It's a perfect passage. I would have thought that they would have written this in exactly because it just works.
Yeah, it just says Annie mutters prayers to herself. And the prayer is, our bones are scattered at the grave's mouth, as when one cutteth and cleaveth wood upon the earth. But mine eyes are unto thee, O God the Lord. In thee is my trust. Leave not my soul destitute. Keep me from the snares which they have laid for me, and the gins of the workers of iniquity.
It does actually go on to the 10th one. Let the wicked fall for their own nets, whilst I withal escape, which I think is super important because of what happens. Like that line actually is the entire thing that happens for her.
Sure.
Fantastic.
Yeah. I absolutely love the bit of writing.
You'll not run from me now. Not in this circle of trees.
God damn it, what a wonderful line. And you see the curtains appear and they enter. And if you think back about the petroglyph map, when I was talking about the curtains near the, that squiggly line with the dots, and you can see the curtains here, and we see where the circle of trees are, and the oil, to me, it makes a bit more sense as this thing that's dividing the thing. I just love it. Great scene.
Fantastic. So they start off in Pete's truck, and Earl is menacing Annie just to build that fear. Fear is the gateway into the Black Lodge to get the curtains to open. Fantastic. The way he has the flashlight under his face and says, "I am Wyndham Earl." It's such a strange line reading, and it's so, again, off kilter. It feels great. It's just very strange the way he says that. Really cool. He says, "I do like the fear that I'm feeling," as he drags Annie out. When she goes into the ring of trees, the hypnotized look on her face, slightly cross-eyed, but still very, very strange as he pulls her in, and she's just completely stopped struggling. So the power of being within Glastonbury Grove is immediately taken over her. Earl does quote a song, "There Is No Death."
I tell you, they have not died. Their hands clasp yours and mine. They are now but glorified. They have been.
He says, "I tell you they have not died. They live and breathe with you. They walk at your side. I tell you these things are true. Why dream of poppied sob when you can feel their breath, when flower and soul and God knows there is no death." He only quotes the first line of that. But I think, again, it's another, this is super fitting for exactly what we're going to be seeing here. The whole mixture of, are they dead? Are they alive? Are they actually what they seem whenever we go into the waiting room, Black Lodge? And last, it's such a technically simple effect of the curtains superimposed over Glastonbury Grove as they go in, but it's incredibly effective. It's just two scenes laid on top, two pieces of film set on top of each other. Very simple technically, very effective emotionally. So I think Lynch is a master of that. Just doesn't have to be anything. It's not computer effects, not that there would have been then, but it's not anything super high tech or fancy or something he's inventing. It's just using these tools in a way that is really impactful. I like that Earl kind of reaches up his hand to pull aside the curtain as well. So how much of this is for the audience to see, how much is actually seen by them? I think it's the latter because of what we see with Harry later as well, or maybe he's just reacting to Cooper disappearing. Anyway, but I love that moment, and then it fades back again, and we're back at the Glastonbury Grove. What an incredible scene. Just great.
Oh, it's great. Yeah. One note before we move on, it is Hawk that's
great.
Holding Ronette.
No, that's great. It could have been either one of those two, but it's fantastic that. Right, because he goes out and brings her in. So was she sitting out in the lobby just waiting for them?
She was just waiting for her cue.
Okay, cool. And Margaret passes her on the way in. She's like, "I just got to do this real quick."
But it's such a nice. I just love David Lynch so much as a person, this parasocially, because clearly I don't know him. But to bring back her, all the people that he worked with and all his friends and all the people he worked with in the pilot are going to make their way back into this episode. And we see that with, when we get to the Heidi, the waitress, and having Ronette here, and just, he didn't need to do that, but it's so nice to he likes these people and he's introducing them into
I agree with that. I think it is a nice reunion. But I think it is also, as we'll talk about, you mentioned Heidi and the double R, we'll talk about there, just kind of closing the loop on this, but we'll come back to it. Over at the Hurley house, Nadine finds her marbles, and couples' hopes are dashed.
Mike is so in love with Nadine. The poor kid. Question. I've seen Miss Twin Peaks several times. When did Mike get hit by a tree? Because we saw Nadine get hit with the sandbag. As part of when Earl was having his craziness. Mike is just as beat up, if not more. And he says when that tree hit him.
He's not in Miss Twin Peaks. The tree does not fall into the roadhouse.
Oh, I guess it's a fake tree. I guess it's one of the fake trees.
Okay.
That's in the thing. Okay, I'm an idiot.
Okay,
but yeah.
that's no. I didn't get it either. I thought it was just a device to get the two of them to mirror sitting on the couch. They look the same, but okay.
Yeah, it's got to be one decorative
great.
tree. I
Sure.
guess hit him. It's just a funny scene to watch them both beat up by this. Her fantasy has been taken to the point. Thank you, Jacoby, who's nowhere to be found in this scene. That now they're both physically hurt. And the choice to take this scene, that the Wendy Roby's performance and David Lynch's direction, it's so sad and tragic. And when she realizes, who are you, and the panic, it's not played for laughs. We're constantly seeing Nadine funny or like whatever. Like, you could have played this the other way and had her back to crazy, wacky Nadine as regular Nadine, not the young Nadine. But it's so sad. Like, it's just sad. It's really tragic. Like, all the good things that Ed and Norma were due and we're finally celebrating is just taken from them. And his prison returns. And the way that they shoot the shot composition of the master shot is just spectacular. Yeah. Because once again, they're trapped in this cage together. It's so beautifully executed and put together. And now here the walls are closing in. I absolutely love it. I love that the painting, a stupid detail, but the painting in their house that has like the real lights in it for the lights. I don't know who drew that painting. I should have looked it up. It's very good. And just, goddamn, Wendy Roby just genuinely heartbroken. As I mentioned, Jacoby, the architect to this therapy, he's not here when the bottom falls out. It's poor Doc.
He's probably in Maui.
I just loved it. And I love that Mike apologizes to Ed. It's a great moment. It's a great scene for Mike that he let things get out of hand. Mike is a high school kid. He's the one apologizing. It's like all the adults that are in the room that are letting this happen, and Mike is the one that has to apologize. It's good. What are your thoughts?
No, I felt the same way. The way the scene opens, the shot is super wide. You can see the entire room, so it must have been a lens to be able to get that perspective. You have Ed and Norma off to the viewer's right. And the two of them can barely control how happy they are. They actually start dancing with each other. We never get to see this. The two of them finally getting this thing that they've wanted for so long. After Hank, after Nadine, all of this, they're finally together. They announced that they're going to get married. They're just so happy. Then you got on the other side of the room, Doc Hayward attending to Mike and Nadine, who both are bandaged in the exact same way, with a lot of blood bleeding through those bandages.
It's a serious injury.
Doc, you should also be replacing the bandage when it's soaked through like that, and they should probably be in the hospital. Go over to Calhoun.
He's got other things on his mind.
Yeah, he does have some stuff coming up. But the two of them sitting there, and they do look, like I said before, mirrored to each other. They look like a little match set. So we get the two little couples on either side. Doc even has these moments of like, you just see him off the side, almost this exasperated look about, oh my God, we're still doing this a little bit, which is great.
Yes.
Love that for him. Like you said, as Nadine starts putting the pieces back together, she's coming back to herself, and that look of panic and fear about Mike. What are you doing in my house? Ed, get him out of my house.
Yeah, and then what are you doing here when she sees Norma?
What are you doing here? Like, it's, my God, this fear that she's had forever, that Ed's going to actually leave her for Norma, is materializing for her. Who knows? She's just swirling out of like several weeks. Like, who knows if it's been like 1 second to the next for her, while for us it's been several weeks of this other like younger Nadine. I don't know. She's so, I have my notes, just poor Nadine. And you're right. It is played emotionally. It is so sad. It's not this like Nadine bending the bars back on an exercise machine, but she does still bring in, and where are my drape runners? Which is just nice as well to bring that back.
But it's delivered in a way of like holding on to some kind of stability or like something to make it all make sense.
It's just terrible. And at that time, both Norma and Mike recognize what's happened, what they've each lost. It's a good point that Mike's the one to apologize, and Jacoby is not even there, and he's the one that did it. But it's just sad for all of them. Oh man, so sad for Ed and Norma.
So good. we don't get that many. I think, not many shots of this. Like Nadine was eating bonbons on the couch once, but where Doc is sitting, I don't know if you noticed, on the back table is looks like a 7th or 8th grade picture of James.
Oh,
so there's this photo of James on the side of the. I'm assuming it's James Marshall, as a kid, because it looks like him, but it's just a nice detail. There's a little bird on the table too. There's neat little things in their house.
Kind of brought James back for the finale as well, which is nice.
I guess James did appear if this is correct.
That's great. All right, Eric, let's head over from one domestic scene to another. At the Haywards, Ben tries to do good, but the results are anything but.
Yeah, so this scene cuts into, fire as Eileen stares at Ben. Wherever Ben goes, so goes fire. We think about the mill. Ben is great in this scene. He's trying to help. He's struggling to be good. I love that he's still wearing that pine weasel pin. Donna, Laura Flynn Boyle, it's a lot in this scene.
Much.
It's so much. I don't like to criticize people too much, but she's a lot. Yeah. Who are my parents anyway? Yeah. There's a legend, by the way. I don't know if you knew this. There's a legend that says that everybody has someone stare at them like Mary Jo Deschanel stares at Ben at least once in your life. You don't know when it'll happen, but it happens to us all. That look she's giving him. It's hard to read, too. It's she knows this has happened. Is there a little bit of still feelings that she has for him? Is she just anger and disappointment? It's hard to read on Mary Jo's face, but I love it. Okay, so was it last week or 2 weeks ago? I don't remember. Maybe when we did the guide, I had said, Doc Hayward is the nicest. There's no part of Doc that we had seen that was bad. And I made a point of saying up until that point, because I knew this is coming. Did he kill Ben? At this point, we know what's going to happen. But in this finale, does he kill Ben? Ben is out. Doc screaming at the heavens after this happened. It is an intense scene. I guess I'm getting ahead of myself, but so we get Sylvia back again. Lynch bringing everyone back, even though she was also just driving around.
That's
she
what I'm
thought
trying
maybe
to
he was
figure
going to come here,
out,
but
okay.
she arrives. Will is back. He just dealt with the insanity at the Hurleys, and he's got to walk into his house to freaking Ben, who he was just taking care of before. By the way, he's they were still sort of close, but now he's hit his limit. And my God, you're my daddy. Oh, God. They cut away to Eileen, by the way, when Eileen Hayward, as she's saying, you're my daddy. And there's a part of me that just sees a mother so over her daughter's drama. At that point, she just does this look oh, my God, here we go. Enough done. You know what I'm talking about. Parents know what I'm talking about.
Maybe it's relief, though. Maybe she's okay, she's not going to... She recognizes this is her actual family.
She's a lot. She's just so much, and her performance here is a lot.
So this is what I was.
It's a lot.
This is what I was saying before. Sorry to jump in, but
no, I'm done. I was just saying there's a lot of music swelling here.
But that's what I was saying earlier when I felt like the music was really amping up the melodrama of this between the previous scene and two couples. It's all the tropes of the soap opera person who has amnesia and doesn't remember, and then we had the twins with Maddie and Laura. We had the jealous lovers. It's all of these tropes pulled in together. So I think the music in this scene makes a lot of sense for it. Donna being completely over the top, just sad crying or ugly crying the whole way through. And you're my daddy, you're my daddy, you're my daddy. Will braining Ben on the fireplace, on the mantle or the poker or something, and he lays back.
Yeah, I think
it's blood all over his face, and we get another one of these shots from the camera up in the ceiling, looking down at them as Ben goes down to that crouch with his fists raised to the sky. No one does this. It is 100% over the top, and it felt like it was intentional that way. So you did ruin it for me by saying that David Lynch didn't like it, because this is a perfect. No, I'm kidding, but this is to me. The way that I read it, it is the culmination of all of those melodramatic storylines coming out in the most over-the-top way, in an intentional way that still feels rewarding to tie these pieces up, but is also going back to the old tropes. Like one thing we didn't get in this is an invitation to love, but it's basically the same sort of idea of just being played out in real life.
Which we learned David Lynch did not like. Like that was something that he wanted out. Yeah. But to your point too, I'm not saying anything negative about I love the whole thing. I'll watch it all day long. But I think it is, every scene has so much of it that I think in aggregate, like, it gets a bit overwhelming, especially when you go into the end where you need all that music. So, but it's really powerful scene. And man, is he Doc a murderer? Like, again, this is the last like Hail Mary throw as well of let's get as many cliffhangers. It's a strategy Mark Frost did with the season 1 finale. We've got multiple things at this point where you're like, was that character dead? Or like, what's happened? You know,
yeah.
So whatever. It's another one of those things is Ben dead.
It's too bad we didn't get the continuation of that storyline. We just had to wait 25 years. All right. Let's head over to the Blue Pine Lodge. It's the middle of the night, and Andrew is pulling a swapperoo and disappoints Pete in the process.
Yeah, moving along real fast, like really clearing out all the open storylines so we can spend as much time as possible in the lodge. There's no filler here. Like, it's all very lean. Pete, simply one line, "Oh, Andrew," that's all you need. Only note I have for this, and then you can jump in, is there's a framed portrait on the wall. And I'm just wondering if that could be Ungwin Packard.
Oh,
It's not the same photo from the access guide, but it's like an old-timey photo portrait of a woman that's hanging in the Packard wall. So I'm going to assume that's Ungwin.
Fantastic. I didn't even notice that. Yeah, it's now a headcanon for me. That's Ungwin. Yeah, just Andrew being Andrew. You know, when they showed Catherine putting that key into the cake saver, you knew something was going to happen there. So he recognizes a safe deposit key, swaps one for that he has and puts it there. Pete catches him and says, "Oh, Andrew," but then ends up kind of going along with him. So I don't know if he was disappointed or Andrew's like, "I don't care." I don't know. It's just, but again, very quick scene that then comes back a little bit later when we get to the bank. But from here, Eric, we're heading back out into the woods. Cooper and Harry follow Earl's trail, and Cooper goes it alone.
Yeah, total loyalty from Truman. Total loyalty. He's just going to sit out there and watch him, let him go on his journey. He's still got his back. Cooper's like, "I got to do this alone." He's like, "You sure?" "Yep. Okay, I got you." I love it. Really no questions asked. Once again, we're in the woods behind flashlights. We hear an owl. We see an owl. We're on the right path. Cooper's excitement when he sees sycamore trees, like when he sees them, it's just wonderful. And in the background, as he's getting closer to the circle of trees, is you just hear the chimes, like those whatever
Tibetan prayer.
The Tibetan prayer chimes that we're always hearing in these. They're building beneath the music. So the music's this dark mood woods, red room. But as he's getting closer, that humming chime sound that we heard with Josie, when Josie was in the wood, or when Cooper's going into his dreams, that's all built into that. He sees the oil, right? He's remembering the log lady's words and opening to a gateway. God damn it. It's so exciting, and it's just so mysterious. I just love that. So we got the circle of trees, but then there's like 2 trees kind of in the middle that flank on either side of the puddle. Question that I've always kind of thought about, like, Earl enters with fear. He's building all this fear in Annie, and he enters. Is Cooper entering with fear or with love? You know, his love for Annie. Yeah. And we'll get into it when we get onto the other side about White Lodge, Black Lodge, waiting room. Just something to think about when he enters, if it's also just fear of what's going to happen to her as well, or it's still remnants of the fear are open, or if there's love in his heart that will change where he enters from.
Well, that's a good question, because I don't know. This is a ridiculous thing to say. I don't know the topology of the White Lodge, Black Lodge waiting room. So it could be that, they enter into the waiting room, and from there, it's the fear or love that you go into either the Black or the White Lodge from that place, because they call it the waiting room. They don't call it the Black Lodge. They don't call it the White Lodge. It's a third space, a liminal space between the two, perhaps. I would say that it seems mostly, I don't really see Cooper being either afraid, which would be very natural for him to be terrified for what's happened to Annie and everything that's going on, or there's definitely the love there that he's looking for. But I don't. It's never spelled out, and that's great. But I don't know how to read that either. What I do love is as Cooper and Pete come in and they head up to Glastonbury Grove, there's a moment as they come up on the rise and they come into the frame. Cooper starts to sway a little bit. Looks like he's off balance, and then that's when he says to Harry, "I have to go on alone." And it's as though the power of the place is starting to take hold over him, and you can see that building as he's going. So he just doesn't quite seem like himself. The way that he's walking,
right? Or there's wind blowing him.
Maybe,
as well.
wind through the trees. But he's just kind of off balance as he's walking. And again, we get these interesting shots. It's a very static camera, and they come into the frame from the audience right, and Cooper walks out of the frame, and then Harry follows him and goes in the same way. We see this almost exact same shot later when Andy comes. So it's just these locked off shots as they walk through. Of course, we get the owls. We hear them, and Cooper looks up and around and sees the great horned owl up in the tree. And then you have this shot of the camera. Feels like it's handheld as it's coming towards Glastonbury Grove, and it feels as though we're floating. But it's a very slow push in onto it. So this is kind of Cooper's point of view, but it's got this otherworldly feel to it as we're starting to see the Glastonbury Grove and Hall, all the trees, the puddle, and this is when Cooper's like muttering to himself, "Sycamore trees, an opening to a gateway, footprints." And it just almost feels like he's in a trance. As we saw Annie enter the circle of trees and a transformation went over her, perhaps the same thing is happening to him as he's kind of getting led into this. We get the exact same shot again of the curtains behind the trees superimposed on top. This time, small detail, maybe it doesn't matter, maybe it's just a production thing. Cooper doesn't raise his hand to part the curtains part for him as he goes in, unlike Earl, who did raise his hand, and it doesn't match up exactly, but you can see this kind of pushing curtains back. So it's just a subtle difference. I don't think it actually really matters at all.
Well, you could see the Red Room welcoming
him in
versus, forcing him away.
Absolutely. And we didn't have a spotlight at all until we see Harry's watching all this, and what we see is the spotlight's on and it fades. So we never see it like in previous scenes with the spotlight when the supernatural is happening. We see the spotlight first, and then whatever bizarre thing that happens, then it goes away. At this point, it's just all this, and all we see is the bright spotlight fading out. I don't know, just a difference to it.
Right. It's like the spotlight is illuminating this other world for non-gifted and damned people. Like the spotlight on Bob killing Maddie was showing the audience this other world. Harry is seeing this, reacting to it. My God, he's seeing it via the spotlight.
It's a great detail, and Harry saying, "Oh my God!" That look on his face as he's kind of, he does let Cooper go off on his own, but he's not going to leave him entirely because, like you said, he's ride or die for Cooper. So from his point of view, we don't know. Does he see the curtains?
Oh, I think so. My personal take, he does.
Or does he just see Cooper disappearing, which is enough to be like, "Oh my God." So who knows? But that's great.
In my head, he sees the curtains.
Works for me. Well, we've seen the curtains. Let's go back into the Red Room or the waiting room. Cooper is serenaded by a jazz legend, meets up with an old friend, and Andy finds Truman.
Oh my God. All right. So inside we hear Jimmy Scott singing Sycamore Trees. We know where we're from. There's always music in the air, and there's always music in the air, literally. One of the greatest songs. This scene wasn't in the script. This is a big part of, or a central mystery in Scott Ryan's book, There's Always Music in the Air, or the music of Twin Peaks, or I'm probably butchering the thing, but just listen to our interview and you can find a link and get the book. But trying to figure out, like, okay, well, where did this song come from? How do you like improvise a song? Like, you have to have it ready and prepped for or whatever. So just an interesting little behind the scenes thing to think about. It's so beautiful. In the hallway, so when he goes into that hallway, at the end is the Venus de Milo.
What a beauty! Kind of reminds me of that statue, the babe without the arms.
Venus de Milo.
The name was Milo, but that's beside the point. That's the kind of girl to make you wish you spoke a little French.
Which is something Gordon Cole compared Shelley to, which is this beautiful woman. And all of the stuff that we're seeing is these beautiful women that are being like terrorized by maniacs, Laura Palmer, Maddie, Annie is being taken into this place. So it's interesting to see this representation of a beautiful woman. She's missing both her arms. It's just wild. We're going to get another Venus in the other room, a different one. I love it though, and he ends up in that same room that he arrived in his dreams, or we assume it's the same room that he was in from his dreams. There's another statue in that one is the Venus de Medici, which is more modest. She's got her arms, and she's got both arms, and sometimes my arms bend back, and maybe they bend back too far and they snap off like the Venus de Milo. We see the man from another place. He dances like before the feet of Jimmy Scott. We can see like the mic, even just like the mic cord over the chevron pattern is just so awesome. Like you wonder like another filmmaker would hide the cord, like it's a magical thing but no, it's like this little wonderful detail of a mic cord connected to a sound, like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's like connected to a thing that you would need in reality, but we're not in reality, but it's still there. And it's just striking to see that. I love it. I love this stuff so much. I just want to just jump off a roof or something. The lights going in and out. Yeah. Like, this is just the greatest song in the world. That sequence is some of the greatest TV. You are not the same person. If you are 16 years old and you watch this, you're different.
This is the genesis of Eric Grissom right here.
Yeah, if you're watching the show and you're 50 years old, it's the first time you watch it, you've never seen anything like this on television.
I got idea, man. You take me for a walk under the sycamore tree, the dark trees that blow, baby. In the dark trees that blow.
And you won't. I can't think of anything else that's this.
Well, actually, I'll disagree with you only slightly in that when you saw it, when it aired, no one had seen anything like this on TV, maybe in the movies, anything. Now, there's so many filmmakers 25 years later that have been influenced by that. It's one of those things where you see a trope over and over again, and then you see the original, and it's like, oh, that's so underwhelming because you've seen variations on it so often. This is the original. This is, that dream logic, that feel that now has been imitated and done better than, of course, the original coming from David Lynch has done better than anyone because there's so much more technical and emotional power to it than others would do. But small quibble.
Yeah, I understand. I'm also old man yelling at clouds.
That's what we do.
Like, whatever. But I honestly, I can't think of anything that's even like this now that's like this.
So I will...
it's just wonderful. But
I want to say something about the lyrics to this, because I was reading a little bit of the wiki about this. Apparently, some of the lyrics are lines from an early draft of Ronnie Rocket, which you've talked about before, which I've never read at all, so I don't know. But it is cool that David, I know him personally. It's so cool that Mr. Lynch is pulling things from other places to bring into this. It's like, this is my shot to take these ideas that I've had and kind of use those. So anyway, I'm not sure how much that really plays into it, but just to be aware, that is a cool thing that it does.
One of the things that came up in my talk with Scott Ryan was he had mentioned in his findings that perhaps this Jimmy Scott Sycamore Tree song was actually written and was going to be sung by Coco Taylor in Wild at Heart. And then that's why it was added here. He already had it sort of written, and it was easy to sort of move into this.
Fascinating to just decide to bring in a jazz vocalist. This is not something we've seen in the Waiting Room Black Lodge. Yeah. Just to decide to do this here, and again, it makes me feel like Club Silencio in Mulholland Drive. Just this idea of why would we spend a minute and a half watching this person sing? It's so effective. It just works so beautifully. For some reason, you can't understand why does it work so well. It does.
Oh, it's wonderful. But like under the sycamore trees. and then it becomes a circle of 12 sycamore trees, not Douglas firs, right, which is how it is in the access guide. So it's just interesting to be like, oh, no, now they're sycamore trees because this is part of this is happening.
Oh, that is my turn. Yeah, this is great.
So we're in the trees, right? We're in the middle of a mystery. I wonder if at this point, this is the White Lodge, which becomes the waiting room, which becomes the Black Lodge. These are one and the same, right? When we talk about White Lodge, Black Lodge, waiting room, red room, they're all the same room and they're all different rooms. If you think about the owl cave symbol that Cooper is drawing when Annie sees it and says, oh, that's it, you've been to Owl Cave. It is 3 diamonds stacked on top of each other. The middle one's the waiting room, one of them's the White Lodge, and one of them is the Black Lodge. It's these squares, these things that are interconnected. So one and the same. These are all the things. Now, when we get to the return, there is a place that a lot of people say is the White Lodge. And that's totally valid, and I get that, and that makes sense. But for me, for where I come from, there's always music in the air, and the birds sing a pretty song, is these are all the same thing. So he moves when he's going through this maze and going to different places. He is leaving and going to new places. So certain rooms that he goes back to may at one instance be the White Lodge, and another instance may be the waiting room, and then it could be the Black Lodge. It is sort of stacked realities. This is all the lodges, one and the same, happening simultaneously.
I'm 100% with you on that. That's I didn't want to get into it when I was mentioning before about the topology of these rooms, but that is how I see it as well. They are reflections of each other. Definitely the White Lodge and the Black Lodge are reflections of each other, and as he's going from one room to the next, as he comes back to a room, he's not literally linearly moving through, he's going through different versions of it. I do, in my own head, feel like the waiting room is something a little bit different, and I feel like Cooper's dream was in the waiting room, and that when we come in here and we have this kind of return back to the beginning again, is again the waiting room. And it's not until he starts walking through the place that it starts going down different paths, whether it's the White Lodge or Black Lodge, where he is. The reason I say that partially is as we're in this scene, Jimmy Scott is singing, the man from another place comes in, dancing through the curtains, and then the strobe light starts going. And there's this look on Cooper's face, and I don't know if it's the effect of the strobe or if this is the way he looked. He had this look of terror on it. I read it as a look of terror on his face as he's seeing all this happening. Fear opening the portal to the Black Lodge. When you come into the waiting room, how you respond to these things or the things that are presented to you, is that what determines if you're going to go from the waiting room to the Black Lodge or the White Lodge, or can you bounce back and forth? I don't know, but that's kind of intuitively where I feel this stuff goes.
Right. So for me, it's enters into the White Lodge because he has love in his heart. I was kind of getting at that before.
Sure.
Then when the flashing is building up, he's being transmitted or moving into the waiting room. And then when the man from another place is rubbing his hands and changing it, we are amping up and going into the Black Lodge. But we can cover that when we get into the different beats. But I wanted to make sure, because I mentioned the symbol. Yeah. That's what I wanted to talk about when I talked about the symbol. Those 3 triangles stacked that lead to fire are these different levels: waiting room / red room, White Lodge, Black Lodge.
Absolutely. And going back to the Owl Cave too. So there were the 3 diamonds stacked, but there's also just the symbol of the owl that turns to open the Black Lodge. So it's the reflections of each other. We see this later again when we talk about doppelgangers, and at the very end when we see the reflection, it is these mirror images of themselves. I'd love that we could talk about this for an hour and have differing opinions that are all still valid. Love this stuff. It's great.
Hello, we've reached the midpoint of the Meanwhile show, in which we take a minute and we thank the good people that have joined us in the Black Lodge for a little warm bowl of garmonbozia. I'm, of course, talking about Chuck Suffel, Gregory Flanagan, Dawn Adamo, Banjo Track, Eric Knopp, Jake Jagello, all of you guys and girls. And how did they get here? They got here because they have gone above and beyond and have joined our Black Lodge tier, and at $5 a month gets you all of the benefits of the Patreon, all the things that you would get in the Pink Room. But you get this. You get this little bit, just a little drop of honey. So let's take a moment. Let's thank them, and let's get back to the show.
Well, let's head out of this world and back into the real world. We got the next morning, Andy and Truman continue to wait for Dale.
This conversation feels like it could have been in The Return.
Yes.
Do you want a thermos of coffee?
Yeah.
Do you want a plate special?
Yeah.
Do you want dessert?
Like the tone and the, do you want a thermos of coffee? Yeah. I want, by the way, everything that Harry is ordering. But they've been waiting all night. We're now into the next day. You know, he's been sitting there all night. So there's this passage of time. The conversation is just weird and otherworldly, and it's great.
Yeah.
I don't have much more than that.
The transition shot, we get the foggy woods, so the fog blowing through the trees. We get the train trestle as well, so we get the train tracks there, and then we land at Glastonbury Grove. So I just love that we get these little interstitial shots that remind us of everything about Twin Peaks. It's just these images getting repeated again. Yeah, they've been sitting there for 10 hours. Andy there, he's just taking care of Cooper, which, you know, they've always had that kind of relationship where sometimes Truman feels, it seems like Truman's just putting up with Andy, but Andy's just got this heart of gold and he's just going to sit there and wait with his friend for 10 hours for Cooper.
Yeah.
It's lovely. And
you also get the sense that like Harry's like, also it's like, yeah, like not really even paying attention to whatever he's saying about the blue plate special and all this stuff. He's just saying, yeah, because he's really focused on the fact that he just saw curtains, or he just watched Cooper disappear anyway.
Do you want pie? And Harry's like kind of staring off at Glastonbury Grove, and it kind of ends on the puddle of oil, which is just terrific. All right. Now for another scene that is in the real world, but also feels very off. Audrey has business to attend to at the bank, and Andrew and Pete come to the end of the mystery box.
Yeah, I love how much David Lynch loves old people. It's great. Like the old woman asleep. Freaking Del Mibbler is so good. You already mentioned, I was going to say, we see him again in The Missing Pieces and a funny scene about lumber with Pete. I love the bank set and the vault door. It's just beautiful. It's just beautiful the way the architecture and the design of banks and vault doors are beautiful. Those like circles and stuff. The sound of the shoes on the stone is such a nice little bit of audio. How Del walks like he's almost falling over. Like, and him just doddering around, going back and forth, and his shock when he sees Andrew and he's talking about his funeral and the choir boys. It's just wonderful. I love that Andrew also arrives at the exact same time that Audrey has tied herself to the door in protest of his own development. And, you know, it's also nice to see, like, Audrey say, hey, Pete, like, they have a relationship now. So, like, they're old friends. They just went fishing together. Packard, you know, he admires her verve, which is nice. I feel a little bit bad for Audrey because she ties herself to the gate, but it doesn't actually stop anything. The gate just continues to swing open.
But she's not even like upset. It's not as though she was like, "Oh, I screwed this up." She's like, "Yeah, I'll just get out of your way," and just opens the door for them. It's really cute, actually.
Yeah, and she just. Did you call the paper yet? Did you call the Gazette? She does mention that she asked for Agent Cooper, so she's trying to get him in on this. I don't know. What else can I say? The slow walk of Del is just so great. And now, of course, it's a bomb. Why did you not think Eckert would have the last laugh? It's great to see the glasses go flying at the end there. You know, we're left with, is Andrew dead? Is Pete dead? Is Audrey dead? Is poor Del dead? I think Del was going to die anyway. That was going to happen at the end of the day. But now is a little bit early. So it's just that, you know, again, we're racking up these cliffhangers, and this is a big one.
Yeah, this scene, you mentioned The Return, and I've only seen it the one time when it aired, but it does have a similar feeling to me of The Return. We get these incidental characters that feel like there's whole stories there that we're not seeing. She knows, Audrey comes in, she knows Dell knows her, so they have a history together. Ben Horn owning half the town would probably account for that. Though, like you said, the woman asleep at the new accounts desk is fantastic.
Yes,
so just completely out. We also have the security guard answering the phone.
It's a boy! It's a boy! It's a boy!
It's a boy! It's a boy! It's like there's a whole story there, and we don't even bother with it. I love that.
Yeah, thanks for pointing that out.
It's fantastic.
Forgot how great that is. It's a boy. And it just keeps going. It just repeats. It's a boy. It's a boy.
It just, and that feels, to me, that's a very return sort of, the pacing of this. Again, another series of locked off shots when Dell is going back and forth to get the water for Audrey. The camera's way back in the corner, so you get this huge shot of the room. His footsteps on the stone, like you said. He's got that shuffling step to him. It's great. And you can't quite tell how lucid Dell actually is or how much he's really absorbing. So as Audrey's rattling off, all right, I need you to call the Gazette and ask for, the editor, and goes through all this. How much is he actually retaining or not? Nothing. It's fantastic. And he's just kind of bouncing back and forth between those. And he gets even more bizarre as Andrew shows him the key. Is this one of yours? I recognize it. And he's looking through the safety deposit, looking at the boxes and kind of wandering around. Like, how does he know exactly where it is? It's almost like this daze that he's in until he finds the right one. It's just very interesting choices that Lynch is making for these characters. It's terrific. It's so bizarre. I want to know what happens to everybody, but I guess we'll have to wait till the return to find out. Hey, Eric, you want to head over to Double R? All right, it's time for a rerun at the Double R, and Sarah has a message for Major Briggs.
God damn it, this is one of my favorite things that has ever happened in my life. To start off, I love the establishing shot of the Double R, just seeing people walk into it, people walking across. I like taking the time to have those moments to realize it's a town that's alive. So seeing Betty Briggs and Garland Briggs together, and they're in love, and she's like, flirting with him, and he's smiling at her, and they're touching each other, and they're just in love. And then we pan over, and we watch as Bobby and Shelley, and Bobby's watching his parents in love, and then he turns over to Shelley, and he sees the happiness in his parents, and the future he can have with Shelley, and it's that moment that he proposes to her, and the fact that they go into monkey mode, just like he did in the cell, is just so good. Heidi's back. I talked about her, Heidi the waitress.
Oh, what kept us, Heidi? Second son knock horse this morning?
I couldn't get my car started.
Too busy jump starting the old man.
Again. I thought you Germans were always on time.
We have not seen her since the pilot.
What kept you, Heidi's second son knock horse this morning?
I couldn't get my car started.
Too busy jump starting the old man, huh?
I thought you Germans were always on time.
So we were jump starting the old man again, and it's a connection to without feeling nostalgic. It's like closing a circle or closing a loop or closing a circle of gold, whatever you want to call it. It's just wonderful. Her laugh is fantastic. I could make that a ringtone. All of Lynch's decisions are just so perfectly made, and just everything just flows wonderfully. We get a glimpse of Leo. So Leo is technically in this episode, but we have to assume it's not going to end well for him. Jacoby arriving in his cape. I don't think we've seen him in the cape since the funeral, since he was like hovering around Laura's grave at night. I love seeing that cape. We're bringing back Sarah. Thank you, David Lynch, for bringing Grace back into this. She is now a vessel for someone. She says,
I'm in the Black Lodge. Unless again open.
Now, the captions will tell you it's Earl. It's not Earl as far as I'm concerned. I don't buy that even for a second. If you go scene to scene, the line is continued through the man from another place.
Huh. Wait, tell me why.
Why would it be Earl? Why would Earl be sending a message to, in my opinion, to Major Briggs? I'm in the Black Lodge with Dale Cooper. It's like someone reaching out to Briggs, and we'll see how Briggs fits in with all of this in the return.
Do we have the full line? Do you have the full line in front of you of what Sarah says?
So I'll tell you. It says, so I'm in the Black Lodge with Dale Cooper, comes out of Sarah's mouth. Then we cut over to the chevroned floor. We're going through on like a first-person perspective, going through the red curtains. You hear the voice again, but it's a different voice.
Is it? Okay.
It's now the voice of the man from another place.
I'm waiting for you.
And then it goes to commercial. And you will fucking shit your pants when you were at home watching that thing. That thing came out, and all of a sudden, Sarah's talking like that. And then you're going into the freaking red. You as a viewer are being pulled into this room. So that perspective for me is me. I am going into the room. Eric is being brought in, or Dan is being brought in, or whatever. That is for me what's happening. And we'll get into a lot more of Twin Peaks as a entity that people can move in and out of when we get to the return. Yeah, I don't know. I don't believe that it's Earl, even though the captions will say it's Earl. For me, I think it's Laura talking to her mom to try to send a message to Briggs to bring Briggs in for help, or to try to help Cooper because they know how it's going to maybe end for Cooper. So letting them know I'm in the Black Lodge with Dale Cooper. Dale Cooper's in charge. Like, time is also strange. We're going back and forth. We're jumping 25 years. So this could be a message from the future sent through Sarah because they already know that the good Dale is trapped in the Black Lodge, and the bad Dale will get out.
That's a great interpretation. I just jumping back to the beginning of the scene again. I like you said, this kind of the moment between Major Briggs and his wife is fantastic. Bobby looking on, the two of them. I do want to just note real quick, when Bobby proposes to Shelley, there's a background actor, woman with black hair sitting at the end of the bar behind them. It's slightly out of focus. She is doing the most. She's practically in the scene with them, reacting to every word they say. So she's just a little town busybody, just listening to everything. Ooh, he proposed to her. Like she's almost, if she had been mic'd, you would have heard every thought that was going through her head. Just love when there's moments like that. We've mentioned those in a couple of the previous episodes too. This one's a standout for me, that she's just 100% in the scene.
One other note, this scene is entirely Lynch. So this is not in the script. So this whole thing was added, which again, it's like, yeah, of course, connect it back to the pilot and add in this stuff and bring in these characters that are so cool. So I'm glad that
bringing Heidi back again, and they do almost line for line. There's like one or two words that are changed, but line for line of Heidi coming back, second extras on the bratwurst, jump starting the old man, her giggle, all of that is really great. Yeah. And it is, again, it's both it's closing the circle, but it's also makes me think of it's starting again.
It is happening again.
So I like that as well. Like, this works beautifully for that. Really fun. That cut to Leo is fantastic. I'm assuming they just used the same exact scene previously as he's trying to hold on to it, but just he's probably having the time of his life out there, and he's just holding on to the string for dear life with his mouth. Jacoby and Sarah Palmer coming in there. They both look incredible. That cape is fantastic, but do not discount Sarah's dress. She looks like a witchy woman. She looks like Stevie. If she has some scarves, she'd be Stevie Nicks. It's fantastic. Really, really cool. That message just coming out of nowhere that she's going to speak in that crazy voice. I'm fine with it being Wyndham Earl because I like the idea that he has gained this power and he's now taunting Briggs, who he has some respect for, but also maybe wants to take him down after Project Blue Book, something, that he's there with Dale, that he's lured him into this, so it works for me. But I love, and this didn't occur to me, I love your idea that it could be Laura. It makes perfect sense that it could be her speaking through her mother. So any of these interpretations, fantastic. Love it.
Who do you think it is?
Write in and tell us on the Patreon.
Exactly. Leave a comment and let us know what you think.
I really do want to know, because I even wrote in my notes, the subtitles say that it was Earl, then the man from another place. I wrote in my notes, it's not the man from another place, it's still Earl. So for me, that's the connection. I'm waiting for you was great. Anyway, fantastic scene. Everyone take a deep breath, because we're about to get into it. This is the ending third or so of the episode. Let's start off first. We're back in the waiting room. Cooper has a cup of coffee with some old friends.
Yeah. Okay. So we're in the waiting room. He says, "When you see me again, it won't be me," which has this wonderful payoff that we'll get to later. But in this context, in the context of this show, it's just introducing us already to this idea of doppelgangers. That there will be people that look the same but are different. There's going to be rooms that look the same that are different, which I would add to that. I talked about this, my interpretation of that symbol. They offer Cooper coffee, which I think is interesting. And they say that some of your friends are here, and we see Laura Palmer. "Hello, Agent Cooper," she says, and she does an upside-down snap, which reminds me immediately of Mrs. Tremont's grandson and his snap.
Sometimes things can happen just like this.
So if he represents Leland, which I had talked about, at the point that Leland was taken by Bob, here we have Laura snapping, essentially at the moment where Bob attempted to take her, but she's snapping in reverse. She's snapping downwards. He's snapping up. I don't know 100% how to tie that string together, but it is an interesting idea to think about these things and think about these things inverted, whereas things can happen just like that. You can get killed and taken by Bob, or you don't, in Laura's case. Wonderful. I'll see you again in 25 years. Again, another connection to The Return. But in this context, remember the dream. Remember Cooper's dream that was 25 years in the future where he had old man makeup. So you can tie it to that. But the fact that they tie it to The Return is even better. Meanwhile, we got to talk about Meanwhile. It's the whole show that you're listening to right now is because of Meanwhile. She does this sort of like vase holding hand, which is very similar, but not the same as the American Sign Language sign for tree. Now, if you look up the sign for tree, I'm not saying this is intentional. I'm just saying this is a nice little connection. Is like this. I don't know if Dan can
holding
see it,
your
but I
elbow
can't
with
see
your
it.
hand up and finger split.
Holding your elbow with your hand up. That is the sign for a tree. It's very similar to it, but it's not quite. It's just such a neat little thing, like just this wonderful thing. Laura then disappears, right? So after a beat, there is nothing, and then her place is the old man. We talked a lot about this, about these vessels and the waiter being the vessel for the giant because he's going to be replaced by the giant. He does the thing that the man from another place may do in the future.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. I mentioned they offered him coffee. I think that's significance. Coffee is something Cooper loves. Like this, at this part, the good guys surround themselves with love. Like all of these forces are good that he's talking to at this point. And with the man from another place being a neutral force, we'll get into that. Like, what does the man from another place want? And like the different things. And in Fire Walk With Me, we get more of an idea of what the man from another place is. So I'm going to save that. But one and the same, right? That when we see the waiter and then he's replaced by the giant, he says one and the same. These are the vessels. These are the lodge spirits. And when he says one and the same, he is talking about him and the old man, but he's also talking about him and the little man in the sense that they're opposites. Tall and small can also be the same. Like there's these shadows and opposites, and everything can be all connected to one thing. I mentioned this before. The man from another side starts rubbing his hands, and we hear those bells again. And this is when I'm saying we're moving into the darker place, because the thing you love can change. Cooper loves coffee, and the coffee becomes undrinkable. He also, I don't know. You can take this. This is probably me overreading this. Cooper turns, I believe, the coffee cup counterclockwise, which is like time moving backwards, but the sense of sort of a clock and time moving forward or moving backward. I realize that's a bit of a reach. But the important bit here is like all physics and properties break down here. And as he does this, he says, "Wow, Bob, wow." But he's looking off screen when it happens. He's reacting to something off screen because the thing you love, the coffee, is replaced by darkness. And this is when he's going to begin his entrance into the Black Lodge, because we hear Laura scream, like all the goodness can be killed. That coffee you like can become undrinkable. All of this stuff can happen just like that, right? You can just snap. Totally unrelated. I've been forgetting to mention Frank Silva and Michael Anderson were both born on Halloween.
Yeah,
Just say that out there. Lights go down, flashing, and he leaves the room, and we're going to go into sort of the Black Lodge via this hallway. I don't know. It's a lot there.
It's
but
so much. It's great. Yeah. Where do you even begin? When the man from another place says, "When you see me again, it won't be me," he stands up from the chair and does like pantomime of something. It looks like maybe like what you would do, grind out a cigarette butt or something. Do you have any like idea of what that is?
Yeah, it's almost like it's like a little dance or like a stomp, like he's stomping something.
I guess.
But again, they're shooting this backwards, so who knows what originally it started at, but it's very
love that
cool.
though. It's very cool he does that. I love Michael Anderson's performance. It's just so fun. When he says, "Would you like some coffee?" and he has a twinkle in his eye and he kind of licks his lips when he does that. It's so creepy. And when he does the hand rubbing, he brings his head down and he's got this kind of maniacal grin on his face as he's doing it. So he's definitely like, calling him a neutral force within is very good, because he is both trying to help Cooper in an oblique way, but also is he causing some of these things? So the coffee starts off liquid, then it's solid, then it's liquid again because he pours it out and spills it, and then it turns into. At first, when I saw it, I'm thinking it's time slowing down, so it's like pouring out slowly. Is it the oil that's coming from? So that when he says "Wow, Bob, wow," now the coffee has turned into the oil that is the scorched engine oil of Bob.
Yeah, it's very thick. It's like it's this consistency, the actual properties of it.
So great.
Changed.
It's so great. So like, is he causing that, or is he responding to what's happening in the waiting room around him? It's great.
Yeah, I would say he's causing it, for my interpretation of this.
The hand gesture is just so amazing to me. 'Cause like I said, it has always reminded me of a tree, like being cut in half, or the significance of trees in Laura's diary. It's such an interesting kind of decision to do it that way. When we see it later again by another version of Laura, is even scarier. It's so great.
There's a piece of artwork that has the same posture that people have said, like, "Oh, did Lynch, is that a nod to this?" And I feel like it's come out that he was not aware of it, so it's a coincidence or something. I don't know. I'll drop that picture in the show notes.
Is it the man from another place that says "Fire, walk with me"? And then there's the conflagration of fire taking over the screen, and that's when you start hearing a woman screaming in the background. Obviously, Laura screaming in the background, and then you get the strobe effect, which I don't know why I didn't put this together as well. But like at the Roadhouse during Miss Twin Peaks, for no good reason, when Earl has his plan hatching and he has the smoke screen, everything goes up. It's also strobe lights the entire time as well. So obviously bringing that like visual metaphor back across these two pieces is really important.
Sure. And we think about that when Laura was on the gurney and the flashing lights and the flickering lights there and the flickering lights all throughout.
Just bringing that back together. All right, from here, Cooper leaves the waiting room, makes a wrong turn, and finds Maddie.
Yeah, so again, these rooms, we're changing rooms. There's subtle differences between the rooms, but they're almost exactly the same, but not the same. So Cooper goes to this new room, but it's furnished, so it has the furniture, but there's no one there, right? Same but different. The symbol shapes identical, but not quite the same. I love when he tries to go back. Like, you can't go back.
Wrong way.
You cannot go back. And yet he does. He tries to go back. Like, it's so wonderful. Like, you can only go in one direction. Like, where you came from is no longer where you came from. Time is not moving linearly. Or we're not moving train car to train car. We are existing in all places at the same time, and I love it. So when he goes back to that first room that at one time was empty, we see the man from another place, and this is where I'm saying, like, it's not, next time you see me, it won't be me. It's not. He's fucking scary as hell. Like, this is sort of this doppelganger situation. He's like an absolute psychopath. And then we see Maddie, and Maddie comes in, and she too was killed by Bob. So she's trapped here. And so there's this idea that if you're killed by Bob, and we'll get into Rings later on when we get into Fire Walk with Me, you're sent to this place. And so too is her soul trapped here. And you can have two readings for what she says. She says, watch out for Laura.
Does she say watch out for my cousin or watch out for Laura?
Watch out for my cousin.
Oh, I think she may have said, watch out for my cousin.
Which I think is important. I just think that's important because, so just repeating that term again, yeah.
Right. But what I was trying to say is, like, this could be seen as a warning. The other Laura you're going to run into is her shadow self. Everybody that enters this lodge must confront their shadow self. So that includes Laura, that includes Cooper, that includes any of these characters are going to find the dweller on the threshold for her. But it also could be a request, like,
yes,
look out, watch out for Laura, or watch out for my cousin. There's two ways of reading this. It's just so interesting and cool to see Maddie here, poor Maddie trapped here. She's in the Black Lodge. How are we going to get all this stuff out of it? I absolutely love it. I love it. And then we watch as she fades away. So there's lots of people fading in and fading out of this. We're going to see Annie fading in and fading out. We're going to see Maddie fading in and fading out. I just loved it. What about you, Dan?
I hate this part. No, this is fantastic. This is the best. As Cooper is going from room to room and he goes back and it's a different place, like it has this, we talk about the dream logic of Lynch. This is fever dream logic. I literally just the other day, last night, 2 nights ago, had really bad like food poisoning or something, fever dreams all night long. This is exactly that feeling of like, I'm trying to go to the same place. You keep going over and over. I don't know, for me, running through a loop in your head over and over, but it changes every time and the logic breaks down. That's what this feels like. It is not just the dream logic of things don't literally make sense, but they come together in the right way. It's the fever dream logic of things ought to make sense and you're frustrated that they don't. That's what this feels like. It is so unsettling, and I love it. There's again, talking about the cinematography here, there's an interesting choice because a lot of these scenes when they're sitting there talking, it's these static shots of the camera is locked off. When Cooper goes into the hallway, going from room to room, it's actually a handheld camera, and it's wobbling as it goes. And it almost draws attention to itself because it's so different than the other shots. Like, it just really jumped out to me for some reason. It could have just been locked off on a tripod there and just had Cooper go down in frame and go out. Instead, it's like this wobbling, off kilter again feeling to it. So you're getting all the visuals, even in the way that it's shot, make everything feel unbalanced. Beautiful. So smart. Yeah, the man from another place saying, wrong way. It's, as the doppelganger is so terrifying. And you just see him like doing that whole shaking and dancing thing, and he goes behind the chair that he's sitting in and crouches down, and that's when Maddie comes in. It's just strange choices that all feel so incredible. You see her silhouette as she comes through the curtain, and she's even standing in this awkward pose. The watch out for my cousin is a great note as well. It just, double entendres, whether they're intended or not, it just makes me think of one of the first things we discussed back from the pilot. One chants out from Between Two Worlds, chance versus chance, watch out for, or be careful of. The ambiguity, whether it's intended or not, I love that it's there and you can play with that for forever. We got more to get through, Eric. There's so much more that happens. We got Cooper. He tries to return to the waiting room, but he gets scared off by another Laura and follows his own trail of blood back to Annie or Caroline. To save her life, Earl offers him a deal.
Yeah, so Cooper returning to the same room to jump onto like your dream logic, or like the fact that the room is empty, completely empty, and then it's sparsely decorated. And then the man from another place is there saying doppelganger.
The perspective is so strange. And with the chevron top of him, he looks even smaller to me. He looks like a miniature version of him. I don't know if it's actual or intentional or whatever. It just looks. The perspective is crazy. It's so good.
It's something Lynch has done before. Tiny people.
And the next time I smoked dope, Bob Dylan was playing at this big place right down the street. Out of all those seats, when I sat down, there was this girl sitting next to me that I'd just broken up with. Then Bob Dylan came out on the stage, and I couldn't believe how little he was. And I measured him with my fingers on my knee, and I said to her, his jeans are only this big. Then I measured his guitar. I says, his guitar is only this big.
He's done that a lot. You get tiny people in Mulholland Drive. We're going to get tiny people in The Return. It is like an intentional look to be tiny. The way I read it, yeah. Like, it just, things change, things move. We're going to get later on, I don't know if it's in this sequence or not, where Cooper is talking to someone, and then all of a sudden, at the same time, he's walking down the hall to go someplace else. It's just, it all makes sense. Like, I have no problem following what's going on, but moment to moment, there are so many strange things that don't quite feel like they came from the practical real world. Is just wonderful. So The Man from Another Place, we're going to talk about doppelgangers. Now we're going to see that that's not Laura. She is also reversing over the couch, which to me is the same way Bob crawled over the couch in the Hayward home when she was tormenting Maddie. My God, that scream. It's the greatest scream in history. We get another Meanwhile. We named the show Meanwhile for a reason. Laura was there, right? She was there in his dream. She is in this world after the events of Fire Walk with Me, which I guess I can't talk about too much after Bob killed her. But, I have a very specific way that I read the ending of Fire Walk with Me. I'll just leave that out. But I talked about this. When you enter this place, you meet the Dweller on the Threshold. And this is Laura's, shadow self. And we're going to see that with these doppelgangers in their eyes, and they have this milky white eyes. We're going to see that with Leland. We're going to see that with this Laura.
But those are also their corpse eyes. Like, it's the eyes you get, the milky covering the film covering their eyes. And there's a couple of frames of another face superimposed. And I don't know if I couldn't freeze it just right. I'm going to have to rewatch it and slow it down. I can't tell if it's Wyndham Earl. It doesn't look like Bob. It doesn't look like a Man from Another Place, but there's some face off to the kind of the left-hand side in just a few of the flickers.
It looks like Earl.
Yeah, I think it's Earl. So we have Earl's face superimposed over Laura Laura Doppelganger while she's screaming at Cooper. What's the connection? And why is it so subtle, almost subliminal? You've seen this probably a dozen more times than I have. And why is it there? Is it Earl's influence? He's gaining this power. Is he? I don't know. It's just a very interesting. Or is it just another one of these? You catch it subliminally. It's upsetting and off-putting, and I don't know. It's just crazy.
Yeah, but I think it's again him celebrating and embracing and becoming more of this darkness as this shadow self of Laura is. God damn it, it's so cool. Cooper leaving, he's going to leave and enter the other room, and then all of a sudden now he's injured. And how many times does that happen in a dream where something's happening and all of a sudden you're bleeding? Of course you're bleeding, and it's the wound from Earl. It could be, and it's a wound that exists in the past and the future at the same time. Like, it's a wound he got in the past. He's a wound he's going to get when he gets stabbed from Earl later in this time frame or timeline or whatever that we're in. So freaking awesome.
Staggering as he goes. So just that moment of I'm fine. And then 1 second later, I'm in an agonizing pain, and it all makes some logical sense.
He follows that trail of blood. Now in the hallway, there's subtle changes, right? So in this hallway, there's no more statue. So where you saw the statue of the Venus de Milo, now there's no statue in some hallways. So we're connecting, we're going back and forth over the same exits and entrances, but things are changing room to room or hallway to hallway. We get to see Caroline. And I have to note, Cooper pronounces it correctly the way we have.
I was going to say that, yes.
He says Caroline, not Carolyn. So I have to assume Kyle MacLachlan was just feeling a different pronunciation in that episode that we did.
When he comes back into the room and he sees himself and Annie laying on the floor together, And Annie's it's all these reverse shots, obviously, but the way that she's like sitting up and looks so dazed, it looks like she's almost a marionette with the strings cut, and she's not making eye contact with him. Her head kind of wobbles back and forth. Just so cool.
The Caroline becoming Annie, becoming Caroline, like Annie's wearing Caroline's dress. And as Cooper calls out for Annie, I find this very interesting. As he's calling out for Annie, we cut to a POV of the flashing room as a figure walks towards the curtain, entering a new room where he's going to find Annie again. So is he calling for her, but also moving at the same time? Is it the future and the past blending onto themselves? Like he's simultaneously in one room going, Annie, 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 and yet he's also moving. It's just wild. I really love it. Lights go wild. He's going to lose Annie, as I said. He's walking down the hallway. He finds her now dressed in black. I saw the face of the man who killed me, which, of course, that's now Earl, because we remember how Caroline was killed by Earl. I don't know, man. There's a gold table in here. It's hard not to talk about Fire Walk with Me because there's a gold table in here in this new room. This is a new room that doesn't have the couches. It's got like this sort of, what would it be? Like, I guess a table or presenting table or something. It's got this gold thing. That's going to be a big part. We're going to be here again in Fire Walk with Me. This idea that I'm alive and I'm dead at the same time. Oh, God. She is switching back and forth. Then it becomes Laura screaming with those white cloudy eyes that I mentioned. The eyes reveal the doppelgangers, the shadow self. So it's like all of these things that Cooper has focused his attention on as well. Caroline, Annie, Laura, Earl. It's like all of these little moments in Cooper's life that have been his focus are all blending together, challenging him. I love it. I can keep going. God damn it. All right. I got more. So when we see Annie separate at that point and where she fades, her soul is now trapped here or in danger of being trapped here. Just like we saw Maddie come and fade away. These are souls that have unfortunately been brought into this place and will be prisoners of this place. We'll see how it ends. Earl asks again for Cooper's soul, and he freely gives it. We see that moment when he stabs him. I mentioned that could be the wound that he was suffering, or it was the wound in the past, and time reverses. And Bob throws out the "you go, he is wrong."
He's wrong. He can't ask for your soul. I will take his.
That you cannot ask for someone's soul. Thinking about the giant talking to Cooper.
This is all I'm permitted to say.
So there's a whole series of rules that you have to be aware of that Earl is not. So Earl's screwed.
When Earl is screaming in agony and he keeps saying, what does he keep saying? Like, be quiet?
Yeah.
Be quiet over and over again. And the sound all cuts off. So it's the scream backwards and it gets all cut off. But he's still screaming like visually, but you don't hear anything anymore.
Be quiet.
When he takes his soul, when Bob takes Earl's soul, we see that fire shooting from his head. So is fire the soul? Like we're talking about Fire Walk with Me, these souls that are coming from body to body and moving around. And that's just an interesting little detail that I love.
You go, he is wrong, you can't ask for your soul, I'll take his. So Cooper was freed at this moment to leave?
Well, he's free to go, but maybe they have other plans for
No, I know,
him,
but in that moment, he was free to go, but he stays for Annie? I don't know how to kind of read that part.
Well, after he says, you go, she can stay, he takes the soul, and then he does leave. He does leave the room.
The room, but I'm thinking like, you go, not just you get out of this room, like you leave the right lock, you go back to the world instead.
Sure.
But he doesn't. I don't know. I don't know what to make of it.
Yeah, well, we could talk a little bit about that, I guess, next, in the next sequence,
Okay.
about what Cooper does wrong here. Okay, so Cooper leaves after this whole insane situation where Ola's taken, and then the Cooper shadow self. We talked about the Dweller on the Threshold. We see him come in. He's the same milky eyes. He comes over and laughs with Bob.
It's a very Sam Raimi Evil Dead sort of feel. Like that when Cooper comes in, Doppel Cooper comes in, and the two of them laughing together, but the way that he's like tiptoeing hunched over, it just feels like Evil Dead to me, which again is one of those movies for me that makes me so uncomfortable to watch because it's so
Really?
Yeah, because it has that same nightmare quality to it. It just works beautifully for this, and the two of them laughing is just so scary. I love it. Anyway, that's you said you had something else you want to come back to.
Oh yeah, well, two things. One was I mentioned Josie. They wanted to put Josie in the Red Room.
Right.
So according to Frank Silva, he had done like a QA at one of the Twin Peaks festivals or something.
Mm-hmm.
They apparently had shot a scene in the Red Room in which they couldn't get Joan Chen, but they got a double.
There's a scene in the Red Room where Joan Chen wasn't available at the time. So we had to get around that, but there was a double of Joan Chen who just saw the body. And her head was outside the Red Room, because we didn't have Joan Chen with us at the time. So we had her body there.
As if like her head was out of the world of the Black Lodge. And that's why the head is in the drawer knob. But the rest of her body would be here, trapped in the thing. They cut the scene, so it's not the... And as far as I know, you cannot find the scene. But Frank Silva talks about it having been shot. So it's one interesting thing. And the other thing I want to talk about, meanwhile, is just like, what does it mean? Like, what is this meanwhile thing? And symbolically, you can look at it like, meanwhile, I'm this nice girl. Meanwhile, I'm being tormented and killed by my dad, and you're just living your life. Like, to see both of those Loris, both of them saying, meanwhile, like all of this horrible stuff is going on beneath the surface of our world, in where we're living, in in our houses, and our neighbors' houses. And that's the way I always take the meanwhile. Like, meanwhile, this is going on. And for us, for the show, it was like, that was not a great place when I decided to do this podcast. And it was like, okay, meanwhile, there's this. Like, meanwhile, there's this other place that we can go to. And that's always how I read that line, because it is, you could, what does that mean? Meanwhile, and then she's screaming. That's all I would add to that. I don't know if you have any specific thoughts on meanwhile or what.
I feel the same way. Like there's the literal side of it where time moves differently there. We see Truman and Andy sitting out there, and it's been 10 hours. But for us, what we've seen is a few minutes of time. Time jumping around. There's that part of it. But the meanwhile of this kind of gothic horror of the mundane, like there are horrible things happening just among regular life. So like you're saying, very similar. Makes me think of how we pointed out when Maddie's being tormented by Bob and about to be killed, and we pull back and it's just the house sitting there and just regular life is going on around them. So it is that idea of all these horrible things or other things that you don't know about are happening at the same time as the rest of life moving on. I think that's what I'm feeling for this. Cool. So, Eric, let's move on. We got Cooper meets his shadow self and is chased out of the lodge. The next evening, Harry finds him and Annie inside a circle of trees.
Yeah, suddenly the Dweller in the Threshold, as we mentioned, he's laughing with Bob, and now this is the evil Cooper. We all have our shadow selves in the lodge that we must confront. And if you remember what Hawk said in Mass Ball, episode 18.
There is also a legend of a place called the Black Lodge, the shadow self of the White Lodge. The legend says that every spirit must pass through there on the way to perfection. There, you will meet your own shadow self. My people call it the Dweller on the Threshold. The Dweller on the Threshold. But it is said, if you confront the Black Lodge with imperfect courage, it will utterly annihilate your soul.
And Cooper has imperfect courage here. He cracks. He runs. He does not stand and confront his shadow self, which is why he loses, which is why he's caught, which is why he's totally annihilated. And this other version of Cooper, we shall call him Mr. C or some other thing that you may want to call him, gets out. And that's why Bob laughs after he catches, because he knows that he's escaped and now Bob's going to ride with him, ride or die. I just love it. And again, there's something special about Laura and her doppelganger. There's something special about Cooper, which we will get into even more. I think that's basically it. I mean, suddenly the curtains open at Glastonbury Grove as another day has passed and Annie is saved, Cooper is alive. But the one thing that I would want to take away from this is that moment of Cooper failing. Why does Cooper fail? And it's because he has imperfect courage and he runs. We meet this is when we meet Leland too, as well. Oh yeah,
yes,
on his way out, Leland refusing to take ownership of his crime. He laughs with the evil Cooper. The evil Cooper looks to the camera as well, breaking the fourth wall, which is a very awesome moment. And it is, again, this is Leland. He has a shadow self when he went in there, and he's lost and he's trapped. And if the good Leland, or whatever the good Leland is, may be represented by Mrs. Tremont's grandson, this is not a good Leland that we see here.
Oh, it's fantastic. Yeah, that's a great way of putting that. I was just going back to look at the scene. It's not until Cooper kind of runs away. He doesn't run. He just kind of leaves Bob and Earl there. Once he leaves that room and across the curtain, that's when the Doppel Cooper comes out. And that those slow chase scenes of the doppelganger chasing after Cooper as they're going through the hallways, room to room, is just fantastic. This is where we start getting, like you said, the doppelganger Cooper comes right up to the camera and looks and gives us breaking the fourth wall. Later, Bob comes up right into the camera again and does the same thing. It is really scary. We get Leland saying, "I did not kill anybody."
Yeah.
And you can notice also his hair is no longer white. It's gone back to the old Leland, at least as the doppelganger. Yeah, just terrifying. Then we get the spotlight returning in the woods. And that's, again, when we see Cooper in the circle at Glastonbury Grove. And Annie's there, face all bloodied. It's not obvious that she's still alive, but we find out later that she is. Harry goes over to Cooper first, sees Annie there, and goes to tend to her. But we do get the spotlight of the supernatural again here. Just amazing. That entire sequence that we just went through is the thing I think about when I think about Twin Peaks, is all of this. The way that you feel, the way that I feel watching this, and you go from room to room and things aren't the way that you expect them to be, and you can't make sense of it in the logic. And actually, this is something that always sticks in my head. In the old NES Legend of Zelda games, there's certain ones where you have to go through rooms in a specific pattern.
Like the Lost Woods. You're talking about the Lost Woods.
Sure. I mean, I barely remember it, but from being
that's what
a kid,
it's called.
And being so frustrated by it because I couldn't make sense of it. That's the feeling I'm getting here. It's that fever dream of I know there's a pattern there. I can't figure out what it is, and every time I get set back to the beginning, I have to try it over again. Anytime there's a video game that has that sort of puzzle, I instantly just want to put it down and don't do it. It's just the feeling that I get. Anyway, that's a little bit about my psyche. Last thing, here we go. Final scene at the Great Northern. Dale has to brush his teeth.
Yeah. Okay. I like that we spend a little bit on the falls too.
Yeah.
Before we even go into washing away this nightmare.
Well, can I say one thing about that?
Trying to transition. Sure.
Totally right. You talked earlier about the economy of this episode, especially at the beginning. We're kind of wrapping loose ends up so we can spend more time in this latter third of it. But it lingers on this shot of the falls 15 seconds, maybe? It's really long. There's a few of those moments. Del Mibbler walking around. You could imagine that being a much shorter sequence, so that more room. But it's so strange how things can be so compact and go so quickly, and also have so much room to breathe throughout the entire episode. That's all.
No, it's perfect. Yeah, no, he makes the right choices. Take the moment to wash away the nightmare. Agree with you on the choices to let certain things go and to get past other things in a way that is economical, that makes sense, works, but so we have room to dream. I love it. Doc seeing Cooper awake, and he's already acting crazy. He's already off. As soon as Cooper starts talking, it's not Cooper. It's weird. You're feeling very strange. He asks, "How's Annie?" for the first time. I need to brush my teeth. The way Cooper delivers the line is very much like Rabbits. I don't know if you've seen the David Lynch short films Rabbits.
Were there any calls?
What time is it?
They're edited into Inland Empire. You can find them on YouTube. The line delivery, it's very much like this.
I need to brush my teeth.
As Cooper, puts that toothpaste on his toothbrush like an absolute psychopath, that head hit into the glass revealing Bob freaked me out so bad. It's
oh my God,
insane. And you're like, if you're watching this on TV and you've just gotten through the Red Room, Black Lodge, White Lodge waiting room, you're watching the clock all the time when you're watching network TV because you don't want it to be over. And then all of a sudden, this thing happening at this close to the edge of the episode, was unlike anything that I've ever seen. I've never seen a cliffhanger like this. With maybe The Sopranos, also fantastic series cliffhanger that I still think about. But it's hard to beat Bob was such a blow.
Yeah.
And again, another thing to like, okay, here's a huge cliffhanger. Like how we got to go into season 3. We can't end like this. And we end like this. And goddamn, how's Annie? Bob mocking his attempts to be human. It's just, God, what a way to end the series. What am I going to add to this other than just saying how wonderful it is and how crazy it is? What is your...
I agree with all that. I mean, when Cooper wakes up, I mean, how long have Will and Harry have been sitting there just waiting for him to wake up? But the first thing Cooper says is, "I wasn't sleeping." Which is great. Yeah, I wasn't
he's
sleeping.
So weird.
It's so weird. So Annie, how's Annie? I need to brush my teeth. Harry's like, that's a good idea. I need to brush my teeth. It goes over there. As he's squeezing out the toothpaste, I think he was like trying to make a ring of like a circle, but the toothpaste kind of came out in glops, and he just like squeezes the whole thing out. Is terrific. This is, if you needed a sign that something is off in his performance didn't do it for you, which could have just been dazed because he has kind of like sleepy look in his eyes. Yeah, you know what's going on. And then shattering that mirror with Bob behind on the other side is just the best. I mean, like I said before, like everything that we just saw with the waiting room and Black Lodge, White Lodge stuff was what I think of. This is this scene. This is the moment of Twin Peaks. You're just like, this is amazing. Nothing could top it.
And it's all reflections, right? Like this is a thing that Lynch used in episode 14 when you see Leland with his fixing his tie and you get Bob, and here it is again, except now we've broken the barrier between the two, which is just so freaking good.
And that look, and then you hear, you see a Doc and Harry go right heading towards the door to see what's going on with Cooper, and he's just, that smile and laughter of how's Annie? How's Annie? It's just, oh my God, what a great, amazing way to end this. And I don't know, like this is not all that important, but I just wonder, they knew that it was over. This was the end of it. But if there was some sort of Hail Mary and this did really well and they're going to bring it back, can you imagine how they would have wrapped this up? I can't imagine that the season 3 in 1992 would have been anything like The Return at all.
Well, I have heard that they were thinking, like Bob Engles and probably Harley, Peyton, and maybe Mark Frost, whatever, of doing a time jump. So the time jump thing, the 25 years later, they were talking like 5 years or 10 years, I've heard, that they would jump the series forward and then you would get in a way that they do that with The Return. But yeah, that was like the plan. And then 4 episodes or so into season 3, the good Cooper would come back. So that was sort of part of the structure. It would be bad Cooper for a while doing things.
Would he come back as Dougie?
Right. Well, that's when you're like, okay, here's this idea. And Lynch is like, no, here's this idea. Which we'll get to. But yeah, it's like there's so many things. Where would they have gone? And honestly, I hate saying it, but this is how it should be.
I know what you mean.
Like, it's all how it should be. Like, this is how it should have ended. And Fire Walk with Me is everything that I love, and the return is wonderful. So if I think about, like, if Lynch had gotten, because he's going to be doing movies, and if he's doing other movies, and then they kept running season 3 and he wasn't as involved, like, we don't need any more Little Nickies.
Would it have been
around.
that,
Right.
but worse again later on? Yeah, no, it is.
So it's a gift.
It is a gift to have it end the way that it did. Leave them wanting more for sure is great. But the fact that we do have Twin Peaks coming, Fire Walk with Me coming up next is great. Just to say, the last thing that we see of the show does end with Laura Palmer.
Oh,
but
yes.
It is the coffee cup in the waiting room. You see the chevron floor behind it, and it's Laura's reflection, and it's Laura actually like acting. It's not just a still, like you have the still of the photo. She's
perfect.
actually there, and she's smiling, and she's looking and blinking. She's like, it's actually her.
It's really good. It's like we end on that coffee, like you're saying, and we slowly come into focus.
Yeah.
That it's Laura in the coffee. The thing we love is always there.
Yeah.
Is there meaning to the fact that she's inverted? She's
Right.
She's seen upside down.
It's a reflection. It's the
Yes, it's
layers
she's
of
still
meaning.
there. She's still there. It's inverted. It's wonderful. It's a great ending. Great choice. Also, I don't know if I've ever mentioned this before. Then it ends and it shows Lynch Frost Productions, and it's like this electricity, and it goes. As a kid, I went frame by frame through that, trying to find something. There's nothing there.
Okay,
it's there's nothing there. But watching that, man, I don't know.
What a great ending.
This is such a wonderful thing. Now, I have heard as well, I think it's in the GQ article I referenced before that I'll be linking to, the studio fucking hated this.
Yeah, screw them.
They hated that that Cooper became evil. They took it as almost like an attack, like, you know, like, how could you do this as a spit in our face kind of thing to make the character evil? I don't know. Why would you think that actually that's an interesting concept of having as everything we know about Cooper, and now he's evil. That seems like a great seed for drama.
I mean, it's perfect for them to think that, because obviously the people that decided to move the show around, they didn't have faith in the show, they decided to end it, also didn't get the ending. Yeah, of course
they didn't get it.
Of course
they didn't get any of it. But in this article, you get the sense that, like, if there was a chance of it coming back after this, it was never coming back.
Wow.
But it shows that this was not. It shows that people are dumb, and they're not getting smarter. So thank God we got what we got.
Yeah.
But I can't believe this was on television. Like, I cannot imagine a world of 1991's America where people are going through channels and then they land on this.
Right.
And a lot of people did, even though it came in last place. A lot of people still watched it because there was nothing else on TV. It was 3 channels, unless you had cable.
Right. I will say, just the fact that this was playing opposite Northern Exposure. Not that it's the same thing at all, but it does also is one of those shows that's like, oh, that's so like it is not a typical show as well. It's not on the scale of a Twin Peaks, but I also think it had that sort of the unusual within the normal daily life stuff. Like, there's something about that as well.
Yeah, I like Northern Exposure. I was a fan of that show. Northern Exposure did a Twin Peaks thing, I remember, too.
Did they?
Yeah, there was like one scene where like they walk out to like a gazebo or something by water, and all of a sudden the music kind of Twin Peaks Angelo-like music plays, and the way they talk is very weird.
That's cute.
It's clearly like a nod to Twin Peaks.
Hey, what's that noise?
What noise? That noise? You mean?
Yeah, it sounds like.
Would you like some coffee or donuts?
You happen to have some cherry pie?
No, but I got some banana cream.
Hey, Joey, what's that lady holding?
What lady? Where?
That looks like a log to me.
I guess
just incredible.
We're done.
We did
done
it
with Twin
well,
Peaks.
we got
the original series.
We got done with the original series. We got Fire Walk With Me. We got the script coming up for Patreon subscribers. So please, if you want to hear that, throw in a couple bucks or join Patreon. And then we got a bunch of other stuff coming up as well. And finally, we'll get to the return later on. So plenty more where this came from.
Yep, script, and as Dan said, Fire Walk With Me and Missing Pieces. So you'll be hearing from us again. And let us know what you thought. What did you think of the
Please tell us.
finale?
There's so many mysteries in here. We have our own interpretations that overlap and go in different directions. Would love to see what other people think about this, especially people that have been following along with us throughout our journey. So thank you so much for listening.
Yes.
We will talk at you soon.
We'll talk at you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Meanwhile podcast with Dan Johnson and Eric Grissom. If you would like to support the Meanwhile podcast, join our Patreon. It's available right now. You can sign up, and for just a few dollars a month, you can keep this show going, and you can get access to some exclusive podcasts and some secret stuff that you're not going to find anywhere else. So if you'd like to join, go to ericgrissom.com/meanwhile and look for the Patreon link. If you like our show, please consider rating and reviewing the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you're hearing this now. Meanwhile is produced by Eric Grissom and Where's My Robots? The Meanwhile theme song is written and performed by Paul Finn and Evening Pines. If you want to let us know what you thought of the show, you can reach Dan at danjnj.com, both on the web and on Blue Sky. Eric can be found on Blue Sky at ericgrissom.com, which is also his website. It's also me, right? That's weird. We'll see you again, and in the meantime, be good.
Listen to the sounds.
Meanwhile.
Where's my robots? You know?